Hi students, now I'll be doing a revision for chapter 2. So after that I'll be doing a summary map. So for chapter 2, right, what you'll be required to know, right, is all of this learning objective over here. Make estimations and measure accurately mass, length and volume of metal using appropriate instruments. You need to identify what SI you need to use for different type of physical quantity and explain what is meant by density and calculate it. And lastly, predict whether an object will sink or float using the concept of density. So for this learning objective over here, I have already rephrased it into a question base. So if you look at the website, under 1-2 Science Weighted Assessment, 1-2 Science Common Test, Revision Guide. So you go to this page and you see a series of questions, right? And this done over here just means it's like a checklist, whether you have already know this concept or not. Like for example, what are the uses and benefits of science and technology to society? So if you know what are the uses and benefits of science and technology, you put a tick beside it. So you click this button here. After that, it'll bring you to an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so for chapter 2, I have rephrased it into a question base. So basically when you revise, right, you can actually ask yourself whether you have understood this learning point or not. So first thing, define what it meant by the physical property. So if you look through your notes, a physical property of a material are quantity that can be detected using our 5 senses or a measuring device. So basically it's something that we can see or we can measure using a measuring device. So describe the different physical property of the material. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So it's basically all of this physical property: flexibility, hardness, melting point, boiling point, which are all inside your notes. Strength, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, and density. So basically you need to know, right, what does it mean? So that whenever the question gives you the thermal conductivity or electrical conductivity, at least you know what it really means. So for electrical conductivity, it just means whether it can conduct electricity or not. So normally materials that conduct electricity, it will be your electrical conductor, for example your metal. And the word thermal over here just means heat. Okay, so after you learn about the different physical property, like knowing what do they mean, you need to be able to explain why some materials or some your daily life objects, right? For example, your saucepan, why must it be like a metallic on the outside so that you can conduct heat easily? Or for example, your thermometer here, this thermometer here. Okay, so I'm not talking about this boiling point, but I'm looking at the material of this thermometer as in the glass surface. Why is it made of glass instead of other material? So you can mention that glass is transparent, so it allows us, right, to see the readings of the thermometer when the mercury inside it move up when the temperature increases. So this is the second point. Describe and explain the choice of material used in terms of their physical property. So basically, you need to understand why certain materials are used to make objects. So next thing will be to know what are the measuring instruments, right, that we can use to estimate or make such measurements for mass, length, and volume. So basically these 3 items. And what are the SI unit of this physical quantity for mass, length, and volume? And lastly, explain what is meant by density and how to calculate it. So the final one will be whether you need to use the concept of density to determine whether an object floats or sinks. There's also many questions right now. You can actually just summarize it into a mind map. So in the mind map, these are the common materials that we know. Basically, they are metals, plastics, fibers, glass, and ceramics. So for fibers, right? Fiber is something like similar to glass. You actually Google it to help you. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not made of glass. Fiber is like your cloth material. Like those cloth fibers, right? When you put it together, you can like make clothes. So these are the materials that we are often deal with. And the next thing to ask is that what is different from these five common materials? So this leads us to the main question whereby since these five materials right are having like different physical property, that's why we use different materials for different purpose in our everyday objects. So what are the physical properties that we are considering, right? Is basically these eight of them: flexibility, hardness, melting point, boiling point, strength, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity, and density. So these are the eight physical property that we will be like using it to justify why we pick certain materials over another material. Like why is this material better than the other one? For example, why do we use metal whenever you want to whenever we want to use it for like electrical conductivity beside plastic? Because we know that plastic, they are a electrical insulator. It means that they cannot conduct electricity. But for metal, they can conduct electricity. That's why metal are often used like in electrical appliances for electricity to pass through so that the electrical appliances work. For example, a light bulb will light up. So after we know about when do we use certain materials, we also need to know, right, how to measure some of the physical properties. And this will be your length, volume, and mass. And for these three physical property, we need to know what is the SI unit. So SI unit just means, right, the international standard units that's recognized by all the scientists across the world, so that when we communicate between countries, right, we know that what we are referring to. So for length, right, the SI unit is meter. For volume, right, is meter cube. So for volume, right, you can think of it as like for volume, you need to take length times breadth times height. So there are like three dimension. That's why it's like meter cube. Since the SI unit for length is meter, right? Volume will be meter cube. Means meter times meter times meter. So for mass, right, the SI unit is kg, not grams, kg. And what are the measuring instruments, right, that we can use to measure the length, volume, and mass? So it's over here. We can use a meter rule to measure length, measuring tape, or vernier caliper. So for vernier caliper, you need to learn how to read a vernier caliper. So for volume, there are two things that we can use to measure volume: a measuring cylinder or a displacement can. So normally for this one over here, why do we use a measuring cylinder or measuring or displacement can, right? The reason being, let me refer to your notes. We are often, so the everyday object around us, right, they are mostly irregular solids. So that's why we need to use a measuring cylinder or displacement can to measure out what are the volume of that particular irregular solids. So if everything is regular like a cuboid or cube, right, we can just use the formula to find out what's the volume. It's very straightforward. But mostly things around us, right, they are like irregular in shape. You cannot really like measure what's the length, breadth, and height to calculate the volume. That's why we need to use a measuring volume to find out the volume of these irregular solids. So normally we measure what is the initial volume without the things inside, and we add the things inside, and after that we measure the new height, the new volume. So the difference in the volume will tell us what is the volume of that object. Since the only difference between these two measuring cylinder is that one has a hammer, one doesn't have a hammer. So the difference of the volume will be contributed by the volume of the hammer. So this is how we measure volume of irregular solids. So after we know how to measure irregular solids and regular solids, we'll move on to looking at the mass. So how do we measure mass? So for mass, right, we can use a beam balance. Okay, let me show you what's a beam balance. Okay, so this one is a beam balance. Basically, we are like trying to balance the weight using a weight of like something that we know. Like for example, if we know that one side is 2 kg, so we try to add. So when we add things on the left side, we will try to like add more weights of known mass in order to find out what is the mass of the unknown thing. So when they are balanced, it means that, like for example, if this side, the left and right is balanced, right? Then if one side contains a small weight of like 4 kg, 6 kg, 10 kg, right? So when the other side is balanced, we'll know that the other side weighs about 20 kg because the beam balance is balanced. So in order to measure mass more accurately, we use the electronic balance, as they will show us what is the mass of the object in the reading screen. So for the different physical quantity, basically length, volume, and mass, right, you need to know when to use which measuring instruments to measure them. And the main factor, right, is mostly based on like how accurate we want the readings to be. That's why we use different measuring instruments. So after we look at all these physical quantity, we'll be looking at something new called the density, which is mass over volume. And the SI unit is kg per meter cube. So how to know what is the SI unit of density, right? It's quite straightforward. You just need to know what's the SI unit for mass, which is kg, and what's the SI unit for volume, which is meter cube. So since it's mass over volume, right? Mass divided by volume, the SI unit will be kg divided by meter cube. And it basically allows us to determine whether a substance will float or sink in another substance. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at your notes. Okay, so in this case, right? So let's say the density of the car is higher than the water over here. That means the car will sink. So if the blocks over here, wooden block, has a density that is lesser than the water, it will float. So whether it floats or sink, right, we always need to compare the density between two objects. Whether is it one is higher or is it one is like lower, to decide whether they will float or sink. Okay, so once you have go through all the materials, you can do a self-check by yourself to check whether do you know these pointers or not. So if you know these pointers, that's good. That means you're ready to score well for science. And as I promised you, there'll be a science pun. So let me ask you, Why do a scientist, right, take off a bell from the door from his home, a doorbell from his home? So the reason being, the scientists want to win a Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize. Get it? Okay. So a Nobel Prize is usually the most prestige award for scientists. So I hope that you can understand this pun. Yep. So if you have any questions, you can always text me or we can arrange an online consultation to go through some of the concepts. And Mr. Leong won't be chasing you to say that, oh, you haven't do this, you haven't do that. As common test, right? It's up to you whether you want to like do well or not. If you want to do well for it, you need to study for it. So if you have any question, you can ask me. That's how I can help you. So please help yourself so that you can help yourself in future also. Thank you.